Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said. And you check. Yeah, see it. Right. They can't pay more. But I'm sure you can sit there and have a day and everybody's buying beer.
Don't they go together?
Yes. For black past the liquor store, the schools, everything. But my second time.
Are we waiting, Mike?
That's just.
Okay, there's
No price.
call this meeting to order for the May planning board meeting. First item up on the agenda is Stissing House lighting resolution. We handled everything, don't we?
Yes.
Seeker or whatever.
You know how to do it.
I don't think we didn't even have to, right? We didn't even have to do seeker. We didn't have to do seeker for this, right, Warren? Stissing House, the lighting,
The
we
lighting
didn't
in the
have to
back,
do
no.
any.
No, we're all set. You actually voted on the light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let me read this resolution. We already voted verbally last week, but this is the official resolution last month. Town of Pine Plain Planning Board Resolution approving amended site plan for the Stissing House property LLC for the properties located at 7801 South Main Street, Pine Plains, New York, tax parcel number 13420-6872 18-385-1900-0000 and tax parcel number 13420-6722-18-390-182-0000. Whereas Stissing House Property Co. LLC, hereinafter referred to as Stissing House, made application on or about November 20th, 2024 for amendment to their approved site plan for the installation of 3 solar powered lights in the parking lot, and whereas the application was reviewed at the December 2024 and January, February, March, and April 2025 planning board meetings, and the requirement of a public hearing was waived, and whereas the application was for 3 solar powered lights in the parking lot, and whereas the town board has treated the application as an amendment to the original site plan approval dated.
I wasn't sure what the date is, so. Just
Who knows? Like, it's-
years ago.
Yeah, whereas environmental review of the site plan was conducted by the planning board in conjunction with the original site plan application. And the planning board as lead agency determined that the project did not have potential for any significant environmental impacts. And that preparation of a DEIS was not required. And whereas the planning board has determined that the new application did not raise any significant environmental impacts, which require a re-examination of the environmental impacts of this application. And whereas the planning board has determined that the proposed lighting as shown on the lighting plan submitted to the planning board will be in all respects compliant with the provisions of the town code with regard to lighting requirements. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby approves the amended site plan for Stissing House property Pro LLC for the property located at 7801 South Main Street, Pine Plains, New York, and be it further resolved that the lighting installed at this facility be in accordance with the approved site plan and specifications submitted and reviewed, approved by the planning board, last revised. I guess we'll check that last revision date we received from them. And be it further resolved that all application escrow fees and other charges imposed on this application by the planning board in the town code be paid prior to signing of the amended site plan by the planning board chairman. Okay, can I have a motion to accept this resolution?
Second?
All right, Kate?
Aye. Yes.
Al?
I had to recuse.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
No, what I. let it be shown the resolution was carried by a vote of 5 to 0 with 1 recusal, 1 absence, any 20 for straight, 2025. Okay. What's this? Oh, right, this is, okay, so next up on the agenda is the Hudson Company. And this is a continuing discussion of site plan, special use permit, lot line adjustments, etc. for the Hudson Company. Right now, should we just do this first, the lead agency declaration?
Yeah, you know, I'm assuming nobody responded.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Town of Pine Plains Planning Board Resolution declaring the Town of Pine Plains Planning Board lead agency for purposes of conducting a coordinated review pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, secret of the application of Hudson Company for lot line adjustment and special use and site plan approval for the construction of a lumber mill and related improvements for the properties located at 2436 Route 83 and 7702-7714 South Main Street, Pine Plains, New York. Whereas the Hudson Company has made application to the Town of Pine Plains Planning Board for a proposed lumber mill and related improvements for the properties located at 2436 Route 83 and 7702-7714 South Main Street, Pine Plains, New York. Hereinafter project. And whereas the planning board at its meeting on March 12th, 2025, classified the project as a type 1 action under SECRA and declared its intent to serve as SECRA lead agency and to conduct a coordinated review of the said project. And whereas the planning board duly served notice of the project and its intent to act as lead agency on the following involved agencies: Town of Pine Plains Zoning Board of Appeals, Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health, Dutchess County Department of Public Works, and New York State Department of Environmental Conservation by notice of intent dated March 13th, 2025. And whereas each of the above involved agencies either provided their consent to the Pine Plains Planning Board for its assumption of lead agency status for the proposed solar development. Typo. For the proposed project, or failed to respond to said notice within 30 days of the date of the letter. And now therefore be it resolved that the Pine Plains Planning Board hereby declares itself as lead agency for purposes of conducting a coordinated secret review of the project in accordance with the requirements of the State Environmental Quality Review Act and Part 617 of the implementing regulations of Article 8 of the New York State Environmental Conservation Law. And be it further resolved that the planning board reaffirms its designation of this action as a type 1 action under SECRA and its intent to conduct a coordinated review of said project in accordance with the requirements of SECRA. And be it further resolved that the planning board clerk shall distribute copies of this resolution to all of the involved agencies and shall file a copy of the same with the Pine Plains Town Board and post the same on the town's official website and on its notice board. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. Planning board members voted as follows. Michael?
Need a motion first.
Oh, right, sorry.
So we have a motion,
I motion. Second.
right? I vote aye.
Al.
Aye.
Scott.
Yes.
Dick.
Aye.
Yes. I vote aye. And Steve.
Yes.
Yes.
Don, aye.
Yes.
Or EYE.
Aye.
Or just the letter.
Page, reflection.
Let it be shown that the resolution was carried by a vote of 6 to 0. On the 21st, 25. Okay, so with this application, what else, Warren, what else do we need to be working on with that tonight?
I guess you gotta, I think the agreement was that we were gonna allow them to, But they have to go to the ZBA for a variance,
Mhm.
and, as long as the ZBA doesn't make any final decision until we finish our seeker review, we should move forward with, the application here. To the point that we have a completed application and then we're ready to schedule a public hearing.
What is the status of the ZBA?
They're meeting next week.
Oh, okay, so you don't have. I hate to bring this up, but we gotta revisit the culvert thing. Can you pull up the photo? So, on the Friday, 2 Fridays ago, I think it was. We had a very bad rainstorm, and I was coming back into town. And what, they didn't download? Isn't that showing?
Oh, okay.
So coming back into town here, and I definitely have some concerns with that culvert and that stream. As far as, can we make this,
Quarter.
there we go. You can kind of slowly cycle through them here, as you see where we're coming. Obviously, the site is kind of back there, and then there's the little stream in between where the shed, situation is there. Oh, okay. Oh, see, now there wasn't. And there was definitely some standing water outside of the stream and along the edge of the road there and near that tree. Stream is still to the north here. We haven't looked at the stream yet.
Tell me. Like, too fast.
Yeah, you're doing fine. Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. I just grabbed all the shots I took. And then this, hopefully, and then see here to the left is the actual stream. That water was not moving. It was just full up. There you go. You can see how that's right to the top.
So it wasn't coming out the other side.
Or it was very slowly. And you saw there was some near the edge of the road. I mean, nothing was on the road really, at least by the time I had come through, like probably 2 hours after the storm.
George, do you want to comment on that first and then I'll?
Yeah, leave that one.
Okay.
That's a go.
Again, it's kind of the reason why I just brought up that comment last time, is because again, I don't live here, I don't drive these roads, so I just don't know the answer, which is why I just posed the question for the board to think about, whether or not that there may be impacts or not, but
Could we get a copy of these?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think there are multiple things to consider here, the rate of rain, the size of the culvert, the expected flow per the size of the culvert, how much it can handle. I'm not an engineer, so I cannot respond to those, right now. But I think we should take a look at the photos and perhaps we'll go out to the site, take a look at the culvert. Do you have any information that it's damaged at all or, okay. So yeah, I mean.
That would be a
we'll
good
take a
question
look
for
into it,
the state, right? If it's
Yeah.
damaged or full of,
Yeah, I mean,
not
if
cleaned
it's-
out, like who knows when they last.
a Beaver Dam or, any number of things. It's their culvert. I think we're just gonna have to look into it.
And what does the plan call for water going into the stream or?
So New York State law requires that stormwater leaving the site after, proposed improvement to the site does not increase the total amount of stormwater leaving. It has to be exactly the same amount or less. And so, the hydraulic analysis takes into account all these different design points along the stream between the little driveway crossing between the two properties all the way down to the DOT culvert. And, at each one of those design points, it's confirmed by the model that we're not increasing the flow there. So, from what we understand, the plan should work. Now, obviously, extreme rain events are gonna happen and there are gonna be variations in how it flows and how that modeling and expectation is gonna work. That I cannot answer for you. So we're gonna have to look into it and get back to you.
And then that sort of rain is happening I mean, at least we hear is happening more often. Is this?
And maybe after 2 days from now, you go down there, look on the far side of pump 782 and see what's blocking it. I think this one's probably not flowing out as it should.
So when was this taken?
Can you hit the info?
Last Friday we got that.
Was the last? I'm sure.
Is. Hard to
Yes.
remember now when it
Was it
was.
last Friday or the Friday before?
Last Friday.
Or it just rained like all day long, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
last Friday we had been.
On the, good click on the picture.
I think if you right click maybe, and then you hit properties.
File info.
Without opening.
Yeah.
May 9th.
May 9th.
I mean. That was, well, that was more than last.
Yes, I mean, that's gonna be problematic. The engineers are gonna want to spend. Because they're doing the infiltration basins right off of that,
Mm.
so the water level already up there.
Mhm.
So the filtration basins aren't gonna be infiltrated, there's no place for the water to go. That's just gonna be flooded.
And these images are all basically just north of the intersection of 82 and 83, right?
Right, so it's where,
The very north, very western extent of the property.
yes,
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure I'm.
right before you get to those shed things. Which is gonna be part of your property if the deal goes through.
Not sheds.
Not the shed, but the property.
But just to clarify, that you're saying the model does not negatively impact it. Any future work we do, the model shows that we're not negatively impacting.
That's correct.
Whatever is there today, we don't know, but our contribution to the property is not negatively.
Yes.
That's the theory. Yeah.
All right, next, there was the sound study that you, I don't know if it went down to the board, so George, you want to just talk, you interface with them regarding the sound study?
Yeah, so I spoke with the engineers at Crawford and Associates that are gonna be doing the sound study. Just to go over their protocol and to let them know what we typically like to see, and so they were very agreeable and accommodating to that, and so they were gonna try and get out and get them this week, but I don't know, again, they were able to get out with the weather and stuff like that. You don't wanna be doing it in the rain or the wind, it kind of affects the measurements as wind crosses past your microphone. But it's in the works, so.
Anything, Jamie, you want to bring up or
On that topic,
on on that or any other? Issues?
we have other updates. So.
We have other updates too. Anything else you wanted to before I go? Okay. So the mill has been extended to the east by about 20 feet. Changing the total square feet from 19,800 square feet to 22,200 square feet. That's a difference of 2,400 square feet added. This comes when, as a result of sharpening their pencils and figuring out what they really need and moving the machinery around in their theoretical configuration, if they're gonna build a building, they want it to fit. The dust collector was also doubled in size, and that's also just reflecting kind of a more detailed design at this point. We also are running the WB 67, which is a truck template for a 67 wheelbase size truck through the site, and it's working well. We pulled the development off the wetland a little bit in response to George's comments. There's also a new fire storage tank positioned at the northeast corner, fairly large. It's a concrete foundation. It's put back there at the rear to obscure it. And let's see, we added some cover over the pipe where there's the crossing between the two properties. That is not culvert, it's a pipe, so the cover should bring it to better stability. Driveways, we're keeping all three. We had some discussions, and that's the approach we're taking. We're submitting most likely next week to the DPW. So we have a meeting with the DOH tomorrow morning, kind of a pre-application meeting to go over the project.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions?
The footbridge,
The footbridge.
it's sort of there, but you don't want it. I mean, you don't intend to use it for any purpose. Is it gonna be maintained? Or is it gonna be just removed?
That's a good question. Yeah, they don't intend on using it. Technically, I don't think you're supposed to be getting in and messing around in the water without a permit usually. But they're probably allowed to maintain it so that, it's not an emergency situation or a hazard. So I think that's kind of what they'll be tasked with, maintaining it so that it's not a hazard, but they're not gonna use it.
The footbridge, is it one bridge or two? Just one, right? So that's a footbridge?
There's a roadway also over a culvert
There's a road.
that they're gonna build up.
And there's a roadway over a pipe, which we're gonna increase the cover over the pipe. It's the same sort of pipe that we have across the site for stormwater use. The footbridge, I believe, is also maybe over a pipe. It's a bridge, is it?
So you can see the bridge in your
You can see it
photo,
on the picture, yeah.
closer to the sheds,
Oh,
right outside your original retention shed,
Right.
right behind that. The, which are the other.
Yeah, the drive.
The drive is closer to further back,
okay, right. That's what I was.
closer to that gravel.
Now that I remember, you mentioned it being in the picture, and that's kind of a little bit tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. George, anything else you have?
No, not at this time.
Warren?
I'm curious to know whether we'd be able to schedule a public hearing at this stage. Seems like it would be a good time to get some public input from the site plan in case we need to start making changes because we're already in the zoning board.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So we get some input on the environmental impacts too at the same time. Will we have the noise study by the public hearing?
We should,
I think they were doing it like next week. I'm not sure because I'm going to process the.
yeah, so if your next meeting is around the same time in June, I think there's a good chance that we'll have it.
First
If
Wednesday,
not, we'll be
second
able to
Wednesday.
summarize it, even if we don't have the report.
Okay,
Yeah, we should be able to
I have
provide
conflict
it.
with Warren.
We have it. No, I think you're right.
And it's how many people does it, that we have to notify?
Well, because of the lot line adjustment, it goes,
Look at that whole list.
it goes all the way back, Buckley Stewart, so it's like all people Myrtle Avenue, it's like, what's the?
Yeah,
So it's like 50.
Uh-huh.
the addresses were on the last page. It's like a whole Avery, whatever.
Because that goes the lot line against present. Like the Woody, everyone is first.
well, considered a subdivision. They had on a subdivision. You can wait.
We could waive the public hearing for the lot line portion?
Yeah.
And that's not segmenting this thing?
Significant.
Well, we're gonna have a public hearing anyway, so we might as well.
Well, the point is that if it's the lot line adjustment, then we're doing,
Maybe if it's just the Route 83, so you get along.
Prove the lot line adjustment, the number of mailings that.
exponentially increases.
Oh, it's very.
It's like 50.
Great number.
Thank you.
$2,000.
No, 50. Still pipeline.
Hearing is linked to site, plan. It's not linked to
Right.
to seeker, right? Because it's not, yeah.
Yeah, but I would, it's probably, what I like to see is when we advertise it,
Yeah,
notify the public that they can comment on the application and the environmental impact.
Hmm.
So in a sense, we're not having like full blown secret hearing as we
Right.
would in a type 1 action. But we like to encourage the public to weigh in on these environmental impacts.
Isn't that-
So us through the
So we said it was a type one.
Warren, isn't this a type one
It
act?
is type one.
so.
I thought we decided it wasn't. Did
Yeah.
we-
Well, that's what the resolution just said.
Oh, did it say?
Yeah.
So you just,
Follow up with that later. I believe it's unlisted because we're not in an ag district.
Yeah, I think we were gonna compute the acreage disturbed to see, because it's not in the ag district. It doesn't-
Yeah.
Is
it's
it
not in the
ag?
ag district,
Yeah, I mean, we
exactly.
can do, the coordinated review, you don't have, doesn't have to be a type 1 action to do it.
Right.
It's, guess,
so we have to edit that resolution.
Mhm.
yeah. I guess we can
So we
change
just
that.
approve.
You agree?
Yeah, if it's not an ag district, then you don't have
You don't have that.
disturbance issue because we're not.
Yeah, we talked about that list.
Right.
So I put in there that it was the type of. Did we notify, when we sent out the, notification, the NOI, did we say it was a type 1 action?
You can go look. Remember, it's.
Probably did, because I probably took that off, NOI. That's all right, it doesn't matter, if we can correct it, I mean, we're not bound by the fact. That's indicated in the paper, that it's type 1.
No, yes, no.
If George agrees that it's doesn't meet the threshold, then we can reclassify it as an unlisted afterwards. I'm just not sure about leaving the public hearing on the lot line. Now, do you have the code,
You may copy and stuff. We count that.
the subdivision code? No. With you?
Cedar Webs.
E code. I don't know, in my mind, I don't know, isn't it kind of, don't you want to just cover the bases?
Yeah, I mean, how many?
We're talking,
You want to do it just because you don't want to send out the notice?
well, it's gonna take some time,
Yeah.
and it's gonna take money for the applicant,
Yeah,
but. You know, we don't wanna leave open something and have somebody pop up, right?
yeah, let's, look, we're doing a public hearing, let's do it on the site.
But I mean, you're talking about the difference of like 10 or 11, how many people, if it was only maybe 3?
Like that.
We're talking about like, somewhere in the single digits too.
Yeah, it's not gonna. bang.
Instead of 50,
Yeah,
so we're talking about doing 50.
it's a reasonable expense, I don't know. I think if you want to err on
But
the
it's
side
gonna-
of caution, it's probably sensible.
I mean, the applicant can help. If you wanna help, and I'm just telling you, like, yeah, we have, Memorial Day coming up. and,
Yes,
like,
yeah.
You know, and-
We'd be happy to help. Yeah, well, we can coordinate with Trisha and. No problem.
When's our next meeting?
well, that's the problem, this meeting was later.
Right.
June
Oh,
11th.
right, we don't have,
Oh,
It's only June 11th.
okay. What's the notice period in advance? When do we need to get into a paper?
Well, the paper, that's fine, that's easy to do.
Okay,
I mean, can't guarantee
Yeah.
when people. will-
Is it only 10 days for a public hearing?
okay, it's doable.
Just to get to the US.
Yeah.
the public hearing is not gonna be closed at the first public hearing, I'm sure we'll continue it, so. Schedule the public hearing and then, there'll probably a second public hearing, I would imagine. Or a continuance.
Are they like certified letters that people have to sign for and then you have to?
Yeah, well, we could do a return receipt, but it's all. A special letter. Words, but
Yes.
So 10 days before the 11th.
Is.
That's pretty short.
It has to be done this week.
Exactly.
Who's writing the letter?
Site.
I mean, I have the letter ready to go. I was just waiting for the date. So.
I'm sure we can make it happen.
Alright. So can I have a motion to have a public hearing on the 11th, 7:30, 5?
So,
Second?
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm gonna be away next, but, do you want to send me the proposed notice? You want to do one up on tomorrow? I'll take a look at it before I leave this Friday.
Okay,
Okay.
sure.
You're gonna be away next week, but not the meeting.
That'd be lovely.
No, unfortunately, I'll be missing.
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Um. All right. So we good? Anything else?
I have one other question. George, do you have a comment letter coming our way?
I can write you one if you really want one.
Well, you know,
But
I'm gonna beg for one.
I mean, no,
but
but I
if
think
you
in
needed
the
to-
response, it was saying that there was gonna be a SWIP and revising, so I was just gonna wait.
Oh, you're
Do
gonna
one
wait till
more
the-
and just say, all right, well, here's everything.
Well, I think our thought was we would revise the SWIP in tandem with the additional comments that might come out of
Yeah.
this review.
Okay, because I wouldn't anticipate a whole lot of comments or
Okay, so you don't, at this point, you're ready to look at SWIP and
Yeah.
of course, we'll look at the drainage issue.
like I say, that.
Yeah.
Make sure the engineers take a look at that, because again, when they do the modeling, a lot of time. You have to make assumptions, I mean, just you
Yeah.
have to, so if they're assuming that that is essentially a dry creek bed,
Hmm,
it's not.
right, well, I
Right.
don't think they are, but
They were
yeah, I
saying-
mean, they've been there.
No, I understand that, but
Several.
when you do the model, like I
Yeah.
said, when you do the pre-post leaving the site. The large percentage of people that do it get like, racehorse laser focused on their site and say pre-post for my site, right? And that's wonderful. If you have free flow leaving your site, but if that culvert is a restriction and that water's back, those basins are not gonna empty.
Mhm.
And so it's just gonna be a big flood, and that's not gonna be very good for, your client,
I guess.
right?
I guess the question is, how fast are they expected to empty, right? I mean, at a certain, it can't be designed for every volume, right? It's designed for a certain.
Supposed to take the 100-year storm. And that was nowhere near a 100-year storm that caused that. So that's what I'm saying is make sure you tell them, because being an engineer, I understand engineers and I know what they do. And I'll guarantee you, if someone doesn't sit there and say, did you do the XYZ? They're gonna take the shorter, easier way out of that analysis and say, Karen, it's all.
Right.
Or do we have enough, when do we send the 239 in? Like, do we,
When do we what?
the 239 approved, can we send it now?
Yeah, I mean, well, we have the part one of the EAF, right?
Yeah.
So all they really need is the part one. They don't need the part two and the part three. They're,
Have you sent us the updated site plan? You said the changes?
Mhm. You guys had that.
yeah, send them the updated plans and the part one of the EAF, and that should be all they need.
I can reach out to you tomorrow and,
Okay, and they usually require, I'll give you the address, a hard copy of the site plan.
okay,
What about a site visit for the board?
I got reading goods.
I think you can. I think we're gonna get down in the creek.
Sorry.
The new site or the current site?
What do you mean the new site?
Well, this site or
Not where they're.
one.
Not the existing, no, 199, you're talking about the proposed site.
Proposed. No, we don't.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Thoughts, anyone? When do you guys wanna, on the Saturday morning, or, you still doing the reviews? What time?
Available at noon.
It's in the evening. What do you guys think?
Can you name a
Some
time?
night Sometime, or, in the evening, or on a Saturday?
Can you name a time? I'm down.
yeah, it's fine, so.
I mean, I do have a fair amount of flexibility.
What about the 21st? Does a Saturday work for you guys?
Depends on what Saturday it is.
Weekday evening would be better personally, but I accommodate everybody.
It's just, I know the board, they make it here at 7:30 sometimes, so.
Hey now.
So we can.
Uh. The 21st?
It's today.
Yeah.
No, wait, I'm sorry, I'm in June. Wait,
Say a blade
I was
again.
in the wrong month, hold on.
Let's go.
All right. 31st.
Saturday,
Ring a bell.
Saturday the 31st?
Yeah,
Sure, what time?
noon, you can be there at noon.
Could we, I should check with somebody. About childcare, could we circle back tomorrow on that?
Sure.
Send a note.
Do you want to pick another date just in case that date doesn't work?
Yeah, we could, the 7th,
You want for June 7th.
June 7th is the backup,
June 7th is not good for me.
not good.
Dress rehearsal for the big recital, so.
Oh, yeah, my wife. Um. So. 14th.
14th works. I would be there.
I can't be there, but
That's after our next meeting. Why don't you do it on the first date you proposed? And don't worry about me being there.
The 7th, yeah.
that was
Conflict. 31st is
Potential
the
conflict.
first date. Hopefully gonna have that. Jamie just has to check. And then the 14th is just a backup. So hopefully we get that. You won't do, you can't do the 14th?
Well, I can do the same thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's either way, it's at noon.
Just the 14th is after our next meeting. So
Right.
What works for the 31st?
Okay.
I just need a few hours to work it out.
bring your kids.
Sure.
We playing the stream.
To go forward.
All right, is that it?
Yes, for us.
Anyone? Okay. So, site was a 10th. 30. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, okay. Sound good, thank you. Do we have?
Yeah, so voice everything.
Put this in the office.
Yeah.
You're right. Joyce will have, she was gonna be able to, she should then have those.
It's supposed to be on the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was. So this is the way it's done. Issue. Yeah.
No, so we got 'em. All right, minutes, that's. And where would it show
Yeah.
if she chimes in?
Oh, you'll hear like. Oh, they'll just, put this one some stuff.
Okay.
Those like your girl joke.
Okay. All right, thank you. So they did a good job.
I'm sorry.
I'm seeing a couple one else here. Oh, I wonder what this is. We keep us to the hospital, toward the old house down, there's a big ditch downtown.
Oh. Right across the road.
Do you want to introduce her?
Yeah, I did. That's just the one I got now.
Well, there were those are new ones.
Oh, right on that footprint.
Okay. It's for the sensory house. Renovated.
One announcement I have, I should have made at the beginning, I'm sorry, guys. I did not. We have 2 new alternate members here tonight. Rob Strong and Ari Cardasis. And we very much appreciate them stepping up to join the board and volunteering for the town. We look forward to working with them. Next up is Upstate Pines.
Yeah.
And, who's here? Brian, back and forth. All here. And, little kids this time, you know, but. All the others. And, oh, and we should be clear that with this application, Kate is using from the South Connections.
So is one more specifically a alternate, like, is there a first alternate, second alternate?
Because we have an open seat right now. Technically.
Yeah, I mean,
I just wondered how that.
I think Rob is first alternate, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'd have to check. But also we have enough, I mean, they're here, they're listening, they're participating. You guys can ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but we have a quorum without the meetings.
So when it comes to like voting time,
Yeah, they would participate. But yeah, normally we'll have you guys sit up at the table. But it worked out, it's not that fault. I was worried about this whole thing, so. Actually, you know what? You're right. Why don't you guys both come up over here? One of you can sit there, one of you can sit. Oh, they do it down the wall.
No, bigger table?
We're working on. I talked to the guy about what we need for the office space and map store. That was more important. Really. We need store. Okay, so applicants, you want to come up over here and tell us any update?
Since the last visit, we got you guys everything. We submitted the site plan, the survey, the EAF. And now we're here to answer any questions.
Does the loss, I see in this waiver, you're asking for a waiver to drop the 500, reduce the 500-foot minimum. Is this
300?
300, yeah, so that's a lot, so that's. So first of all, all right, so this is the survey you guys have done? Right, so. And this is the scale building here, correct?
Yep.
So was that? I'm not seeing a little porch.
No,
I know.
On this drawing, is that what this is, or is this?
The porch is directly in the middle of the building, right there, yep.
Right here.
So that's Route 82, not 199.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
32. 32.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
And so I have a question about this parking here. This is showing parking on top of the scale, no?
No, it's not.
This,
No.
those are not spacing?
There's a space there and a space next to it, but the scale doesn't come as far out as the parking space.
The scale is almost connected to almost attached to the building, and the actual scale has mechanisms underneath in the substructure that actually go through and then come back up through the original part of the building.
We're gonna make sure nobody goes on the scale.
The handicap parking's on the other side. Also,
Right here, okay.
the handicap ramp will be coming off of that front patio out to those two handicap spots there.
Like this way?
Yep.
This is a little sort of, we're piecemealing this together. It's a little disorganized. I also wanted to introduce myself, but I guess Even which will do this in the right order. I'm Chris Dumbrick. For those of you that don't know me, I own that property. Property that is the weigh station across from the post office. I'm calling it the weigh station marketplace, but again, that is my property, and that I will be partnering with Ben and Brian on to hopefully create the business, the dispensary, that is Upstate Pines, in partnership with my property that is the weigh station, or what will be the weigh station marketplace. So I'm really excited about that. If you want me to go on to speak a little more about why I feel this business is exciting to me in terms of the impact that it will have on the structural integrity and history of the building, which is important to me, I can go on to that, but if you want to sort of address some of the layout issues, we can do that.
Well, if you wanted to do that, that would be a good time. Let's do that first, then we'll get into specific.
Oh, very good. I'm sorry, excuse me. So I'll try not to get emotional about this building. And I say that because I poured my heart and soul into this place. I mean, into that place, that structure. It was built in 1923, and again, I sort of restored it back to its original working condition. And I've been trying to. I have so many ideas of things that I want to do with that property and with that building in terms of retail, of what type of business could be in there that would satisfy, again, how I want it to be used and how I want people to interact with it. There is no infrastructure on this property. There is small, there is infrastructure in terms of septic and plumbing in that building, but it is not fit to accommodate high traffic. This dispensary is a dispensary, again, that will be low impact, and there, meaning the foot traffic going in and out of there will be such that people won't really be able to so much disturb or ruin the place, I guess, so to speak. I don't know how to put it, tread lightly there, because that's what my desire is to, again, keep that place looking as nice as I've gotten it to this point. Also in that, there's a lot of history in that building, so I think it's kind of fun that the business that will be in that building will be one in which people that go in there too might get a little history, learn about what's going on and what happened in that town in this town, in terms of commerce and things like that. And I guess more importantly too, I think or what's exciting about it is the business, having the dispensary there will generate a lot of will generate revenue for the town, and will also enable me to put in the infrastructure that will create my vision of having this marketplace there. But like I said, this property is really personal to me, and I haven't been quick to turn it over to anybody because I love that place. I mean, I love it so much I would move in there in the interest of sort of being able to police it. And to that, I mean, I think I didn't come to the first meeting because I felt best that Brian represent himself and speak about his business and take the reins on it. And again, when I first met Brian, my thought was just to have him rent the retail space for me. I had later decided, I mean, a month later, I'm now partnering. I'm sorry, and then I'm thinking more about what I'm saying, so I get this right. I'm not very lost track of what I wanted to say. When you first met Brian, when he first proposed the business here, and I was watching the meeting, he had mentioned, well, there's not much going on in this town. And I sat there, I'm like, whoa, that's a little rough to hear, but I mean, so there's truth in it. I brought my mother down here on Saturday. She's 85 years old. We stopped at Stewart's. She said, boy, there's not much going on down here. She said, you gotta do something with that yard, old boy. And I said, I'm working on it. I am working on it. That yard, the weigh station could be a lot of things, but it could be a retail shop, it could be a consignment shop. I mean, it could be a bookstore. I could have storage units in the back. All those things don't excite me. Food trucks, car shows, things like that. Concessions. Again, a marketplace where people could go and hang out and not have to drive to Hillsdale, which is what I do after weekends to go, Rhinebeck or go other places. This is about the weigh station. This is about the business of this dispensary and how it will affect this town and how, and hopefully, what it will do for this town. And I encourage everybody. It's a world unknown to me. I never thought that I would be where I am at now, learning about what I am at now. I'm not a cannabis guy. I am a guy that loves that property and wants to get some revenue so I can do more with it. And right now, this is the only thing I can really think of, even though it's totally sort of foreign to me, that will create the type of retail that I need to do more. I mean, again, I'm getting emotional because it's exciting to me. I hope that you can share in the same excitement, but I can't, I don't want it to be another empty real estate office, because we just don't need that. And again, more importantly, this is also going to be a business that I'm not going to allow Ben and Brian to, change the look of that building, which is definitely what I want most. I want to keep that aesthetic integrity. I want to get that scale. I want to throw vanity money at that place. I love it so much. I want to make it perfect. That just can't happen right now. I'm getting more nervous as I speak. Anyway, when I think about revenues and things like that too, new town halls and things like that, you would be really surprised to know that maybe all these things could happen if we could make this happen. So, yeah, if I get any more sweaty or more nice, I thought it was gonna be cool having Luke in here. Yeah.
So the previous owner thinks that what you have proposed is a good idea.
Nice. That's very good. You're good. Well, that was also one thing I saw. I told Chantel when I bought that property from her, and I'm sure she, I said, you won't be disappointed in what I do with this place. So maybe not the business, but I sure hope she appreciates what I've done with the waste station.
You don't seem to have a problem
with anything to do with that property. I just want to make sure it was fine just the way it was. I want to build back that barn. I want to do everything that, it was great when it was great. And it should be that again, but it's got to start somewhere, and I'm struggling to find that. I mean, it's been 5 years, and the most foot traffic I get right now are people double parking to go to the post office and people that use my lot for their construction equipment. My cost to carry that property is not, is more than this, zero. So it becomes stressful. Again, I want this, and I'm excited to have it, and I hope that I'm relaying, that I get that. I hope that you are sharing the same excitement as I do. That's all. So thanks for letting me have this this opportunity to speak. And I'm working with Brian. And then let me just say this one last thing. I mean, I trust in this partnership, and I trust in their respect for this town so much that I gave Brian and Ben the key to that shop already. And believe me, I have not I mean, that is my baby. So if I'm, I have confidence in what I feel that this will do, I have confidence in this, and again, that it will operate very low, low impact, and keep, just keep everything very low key, and just trying to be respectful of the property, the community, and everything. This is not gonna, anyway, sorry, I said too much. So I also thought it was, again, important to, let you know that I at first thought it best to leave it that, not disclose that I was buying the license. But again, I think it's important that that, so that, that I'm the one investing in this town. I mean, that's important to me too. I mean, I love this town as much as anybody else, so much that, I want to invest more and make this town. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
All right, well, do you guys have any other updates or just, okay. So, first off, I'm a little concerned still about this site plan, that this does not have all the elements required for a site plan. Were you able to go over the section of the code that has did Trish send them to you, or were you able to, or the person who did this,
I wrote up the site plan, yeah. I mean, I went over all the questionnaires on it, I did everything on it.
What else needs to go on it?
Literally missing from the actual survey.
Well, the scale should be shown, number one. All the existing stuff should be shown. So the scale should be on there. The new front porch should be on there.
That's the existing front porch that's there now in the front.
Well, there's a porch right in the middle of it.
Actually need concrete.
And the concrete and stuff, that's not on there. Again, looking at like the images that you submitted with the updated application, you can see there's a substantial.
Brian Johnson actually, but, yeah, he, like,
Right, like that right there.
Mhm.
That's not on there. The scale's not on there.
Because that porch is in the middle of the building.
Right.
It seemed to have
Yeah.
a porch on the right, on
With
the other
the
side.
circular concrete, and then you got that concrete apron and the scale, and if you look at where you're showing your
Then the pipe bollard,
this would all be out here.
So
Right.
is the lighting on them?
it was on the building, I thought.
So,
in all honesty, I think there was a version of this. Certainly, we had it, I'll include that, and there's still maybe Brian Johnson, who has been helping me with this, we've been making a lot of adjustments again to lay out all the requirements code wise. But again, no, that concrete's not shown there, but I can certainly, we'll make that correction.
Yeah.
But. So, again, it's no.
So like if you look,
what about the parking?
Lights.
Yeah. That's a good thing. So then that could have to go to DOT for review.
so yeah, you see in the, so in these sections here,
Okay.
there we go, application and map requirements. Have him go through this section. This is,
Yeah, if there's gonna be a handicap ramp, that should be shown on the site plan, with the grades and the parking. You know, you should not just look at getting spaces, but make sure they work, right? And somebody parks here and someone's trying to pull in and they're trying to pull out, and potential conflict, right? So.
So a few things regarding the handicap camp and handicap accessible. I haven't taken a measurement off of the door so that
Yeah.
However, if making that building handicap accessible means changing the integrity of that building, then we can come up with options other than trying to put a handicap ramp in there, meaning the service of the business can provide people looking to buy.
Yeah, except doors,
There's-
23, right?
You're
Well, see, I'm
gonna
gonna
run
stop
into an issue with the building code, right?
I'm sorry.
So the building code is gonna require that to be handicap accessible.
But I'm saying if we provide a service where someone who is obviously doesn't have the ability to get in that building, then if I'm not able to change the structure of that building to accommodate a ramp, then would it not be okay for us to provide a service where that person doesn't need to enter the building? That's not okay.
Not according to code. I would suggest, right? Reaching out and speaking
Is
to
that building?
like an engineer or an architect that deals with these things. Because, you know, we can't really give like design guidance, right? We review action that we're doing on a design action. The code speaks to the handicap accessibilities. There are, I would say, some limited exceptions with historical buildings, and so somebody could make some sort of potentially.
Well, I
But
think that's-
again, ultimately, you'd have to make code enforcement officer a believer in whatever it is, but I'm just saying is you would require like an engineer or an architect to reference code sections, write a report and explain something if it's not gonna happen. And I'm not saying it can happen, but I'm just saying, I'm just letting you know, there are things out there, but you need to get someone to do that work.
So in speaking to that.
And not Brendan can't do it.
Understand, in speaking to that, there are situations in other townships, not in regards to retail, cannabis retail
Right.
business. Other businesses operating buildings that were built prior to coding being possible.
Mhm.
So again, in the respects to keeping the integrity of that building, you you try to find other options, and there has to be other options, and
It's very inflexible. I'm just saying, I have to deal with it every day. Yeah,
So I just.
well, that's what I'm saying. It just, you need to just hire those types of people to have them zero in on those sections of the code and
We'll make it work.
make it work, exactly, or make it a believer, submit it to the board, you submit it to code enforcement, and. Because again, the worst thing in the world would be to get through and think you've got it and then say, hey, there's no CO, you're not opening these doors,
I understand.
right?
That's
So we're not trying to set up roadblocks, just trying to these are issues that need to be addressed. And then again, the same thing with like, like all the other times when we're on state road, and again, it does need to get referred to the DOT once we actually have a parking lot layout and things there.
Isn't this an existing parking lot though?
Doesn't matter. It's change, because it's change of use.
But wasn't it the hardware? It wasn't originally.
There's no parking lot there.
There also it hasn't been anything the last, how many years?
10 years.
How many years
in your code does it?
One.
1 year.
1 year. Any other?
Right. And again, there was no parking lot right there, so there was no one trying to come in and out of that parking lot like that.
Right.
Again, it's a board decision, but I
I don't
recommend
totally,
you cut them out of that.
The
DOT.
Right, but just because it's not retail, that makes it not a parking lot anymore, an existing parking lot. Because it's not a retail shop within a year, that parking lot's gone, so.
You lose grandfather status, yeah.
So you lose your parking lot, you're saying.
Well, again, you can
You
make
just
all those
lose a lot,
arguments to the DOT. It's not our permit. It's not our code to circumvent, you know what I'm saying?
Say that Joe Taylor's employee parking for Jules used to be where that parking is, where we plan on mapping.
So again, it's not the parking lot, it's the curb cut that the DOT is gonna look at.
They may want something different. They may not like the way it currently runs, but when something comes under review, that's the agency's opportunity to bring things up to code to the way they want to see things currently. Again, under seeker, this board needs to take a look at this and how are they going to say there's no impact on traffic, for instance, if the agency having jurisdiction over traffic on the road hasn't opined, right? If someone wanted to, let's say, stop this project and we ignore that and you don't ask the DOT and they don't give us a clean bill of health, someone could stand up at the end of the day when we, let's say we approved it and they could say, hey, you didn't take a hard look, you didn't do this right, you didn't follow proper procedures, we're filing a lawsuit, and they would win. And you still wouldn't open. So what I'm just saying is, again, these are things that need to be addressed to make sure everything's complete. T's are crossed, I's are dotted.
Or the DOT could show up and say, what are you doing? Why are you operating here?
And still shut you down.
So like cut any corners on this property and I
Right.
don't plan on doing it.
No.
Just again, in all honesty, I don't know, and I would love to know, or if you could explain in terms, or maybe it's something that I need to discuss with DOT, but in
Right.
terms of curb cuts and requirements like that, I think that I'm gonna call that infrastructure. I mean, I don't know, I think that has to be reviewed. I mean, I think those requirements and those demands may deserve some type of exception because.
We can't grant those, only the DOT can. Yeah.
Passion, what
What I'm saying is you can meet with them on site, they'll meet with you, they'll discuss it, and if there's any. Grandfather status in that's their opinion to give you, then that's great. We're not gonna make you do anything they're not gonna make you do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just, you need to go to them and we need to get correspondence back from the DOT saying. 2 thumbs up or no go. If they say you can't do it, let's say for instance, I don't think they're gonna say that, but if they said you're not getting an entrance there, you can't do this, then we can't approve it. Right?
I don't know that they would have much, I mean, I had a storm drain in front of that property and I called the DOT and they state DOT, they filled it with gravel and like drove away, so I don't, I'm not
Right.
sure.
Just contact DOT.
You
You
guys have.
you would contact them, I would say, again, once you have a plan that,
If DOT's not gonna want to see 150-foot opening onto the highway.
they don't like that.
They can go to from any parking space.
right,
You can have a parking lot, but you can have an entrance to it.
a defined
It
entrance.
can't be totally open.
I mean, I could put an apron on there.
That's what they'll
That's-
tell you.
they'll tell you
They'll
what
tell you what
We're
they.
gonna tell you to do.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
I
they'll,
was just bouncing ideas off.
You don't-
Right.
I understand, I was just throwing it out there, but.
Yeah.
Because without.
Because this is a state road?
yeah,
Yeah,
So
What if we came off the other road?
Yeah, what happens if I had an entrance?
What if we
off-
came off that road?
and you close, then you would have to close.
That would be.
Well, a fence right around the front and that would be great, cause then all.
That would
people
be
that are
even
putting
better,
all
so
their-
it's not.
You just need to contact DOTs. No.
I mean, I would love to have this access on railroad because that's one of the, that's.
Then all you need to do is get a town permit.
Right. That sounds great. There's already a roller entrance there, a roller gate there. I mean, I am willing to do whatever I need to do to accommodate, again, for business and make again, but also. Have things in keeping with how, what my aesthetic, desires are for this property.
Right. So-
I don't want huge curb cuts and,
Right.
a lot of wants and wishes are different, obviously, I understand.
Well, I mean, so
I would seriously just suggest,
Talk to DOT
because you're
first.
gonna need an engineer or someone to deal with these code issues with your handicaps. Find someone who's comfortable dealing with those issues and with these types of issues. I would just caution you to like have a conversation with your design professional before you do anything. I wouldn't fence off your access to the state road, because if you do, you are not getting it back from the DOT. I'll guarantee you that. So you've got an existing condition, so just
Well, I mean.
get an engineer and make your case, you know what I mean?
I mean, and speaking to that, I mean, I think, the fire department already has their septic system on my property, so that's also another thing, everybody starts to assume that my property is theirs, I think all these things need to be considered.
100%, but that's what I'm saying, is some of that stuff you really wanna just meet with your team and your professionals and hash it out, you know what I mean? Make
Is there a sidewalk there?
plan forward.
There's no sidewalk.
So that's right.
Is,
I think so.
George, I don't see, is the right of way on here?
Probably.
Well, according to the survey, again, it's,
Seems like there's a little bit of that going on.
yeah, that's what Brendan's saying, is this is the right of way line.
That,
I mean, all things being equal, right? I mean, that's his front line, so that would, as long as he accurately did it, that would be the right of way.
but
So
the
any
porch is not on this.
The porch isn't on here, but
More
anywhere,
than apron.
Well, the porch.
anywhere in that right of way.
Push back to the side.
It is on there, it's that box that was pushed over,
Yeah.
they just didn't put it in the middle.
Yeah, the alignment of the porch, it is added there, on the top right corner of the north end of that
Yeah, he
building.
didn't put it in the right
Yeah,
spot.
he needs to move it down to where that door is.
That's not,
It's kinda how you gotta do it.
not what they want to hear. But yeah, so no, he just needs to show that porch, he needs to show the concrete, he needs to show the scale. So
The ramp coming off.
whatever's existing needs to be there, and then whatever's gonna be proposed is shown, right? To say this exists, and this is what we propose to do. We propose to park here, we propose to have handicap access this way. Again, if you change your mind, you don't wanna come off and you decide the best thing to do is to fence off your access, then do that and come off of here. Off a railroad, you need a town permit, from town highway department, but I would just say, meet with someone who's got experience in these things, honestly, and
But it is
hash
another
out.
route though.
It's totally a route, but I'm just saying, it's in full disclosure, you wanna really think about that before you take a chess piece off the board.
No,
You know what I
we
mean?
haven't put any fences today.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying, the DOT, I've done this for a long time, and their first answer to you
No.
is no, it's always no. And if you had a town road, they'd say, go use the town road, you have existing access, that's what I'm saying, if you voluntarily fence that off and just say, I'm gonna go off a railroad, and you have some greater plan 5 years from now, and you wanna do some market, and you wanna come off for 199, DOT is gonna say no. So that's what I'm saying, think about what you're saying,
I appreciate it.
and
Yeah, that's like what
Hash it out.
Karen said about Hudson Company. She's like, we're going for all three driveways. We'll see what they say.
yeah.
The other waiver, he didn't indicate how many feet from the front door of the post office.
I think we assumed that was like 300.
It is, but it would be good to know what it is, so we know what waiver we're granting. We need that for the first middle of the front door of the post office to the middle of the front door of
I'm
the.
sorry, I thought I had asked him to include that.
That's all right.
I mean, I got it all in stuff.
I mean, the firehouse.
Yes, that's all the firehouse. He has a 215 feet, that sounds
I
right.
mean, that's awesome. If you want to beamer, I can literally go walk that much of that for you and put it, I mean.
Well, just get the measurement in there,
Yeah.
and it's all about perfecting these documents, you know. I showed you that E-code site. If you wanted just to go through this. Now, if there's something onerous on here that, right, there's things that we can waive.
Certain things you can wait,
Yeah, but
certain things you can't.
some things we can't, but so just have the professional go through what's required on the site, say right here, application and map requirements. So they gotta go through that stuff. And get the plan looking right. George, anything else you have?
That's everything that I saw.
Is it all right to ask a question?
Sure, Ken, what's up?
I'm just curious. If the scale and the mechanism will be preserved intact.
Yes.
Definitely, you know, that scale has incredible.
Yes, they made that clear.
If this was all possible, the first thing that I would do would repair and renovate that scale back to absolutely perfect working order. That is my dream over anything. But you know, that's a conversation for another day. But that also takes a lot of money to do. Yes. Again, it's all I talk about. It's all I want. I mean, more than the dispensary, more than anything, is just to have that scale in mint condition.
It'll be
a project for a later day.
Okay.
Considering your business, it is important to have a reliable, I would think.
If you actually go and that scale, that's needs to be able, so I think to measure.
If they need that scale. If they need that scale, it's a big purchase. Here we go.
Well. Warren. Well, first, George, is there any other issues we haven't gone over? And
No. I don't think so.
Warren,
No, I'm fine. I was gonna mention we need the distance to the post office. So that's so.
and you see, as far as like what they're providing, their documents from the state or whatever that they're gonna provide, clear on what you're gonna need to see.
I haven't seen it. Did they submit?
Well, you don't have a license.
The license.
Until you have a-
Location, until we have an approved location, the location is unapproved because of Pine Plains law. So we can't put a license on a location, because I know that's not good.
So we have to wait.
Same with our
This is the
other
same
store.
thing. Yeah, there's the nurseries.
Right.
Really, nurses too?
Yeah, I need a license and
Yeah.
they can't get a license until they get.
We have to approve the site before it can take it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Sure.
Wait there, send someone out to check the site.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Plus 22. Mhm. Chicken and eggs.
Yeah.
Chicken and eggs.
Someone gotta be the first domino.
Board members, who has questions?
I would just like the board to consider that for a small town, we might not have a lot of different things to do. But we do have an uncomfortably high population of people who suffer from drug addictions. And that to infuse this community with more Schedule I drugs that are considered Schedule I, highly addictive, not highly addictive, often abused, and on the same scale as heroin and LSD. I think we have to be very cautious, or we should be very cautious about all the decisions we make for this. Because I know a lot of people in my family, a lot of friends, they suffer from those addictions. And I would hate to think that we've made it that much easier for those people to rekindle those addictions they suffer with. So I ask everyone to please consider that strongly as we look at this. Whatever other benefits there might be, do they outweigh the negative things that can come from this? So I say that passionately because it has hit me home with many, many people. So I ask each of you to please consider that strongly. I can almost assume that there's everyone in this room can think of someone they know that's close to them that has suffered from a drug addiction. So
Alcohol is up there too. You can get that a couple times.
So I just want to say I'm a recovering alcoholic, you know, and again, I'm not ashamed to say that I spent 3 years in institutional rehabilitation. I didn't think I was going to be doing this, so I certainly appreciate where you're at. That and I'm not trying to minimize any of your sentiment or your emotion. I mean, I come from a very alcoholic, drug addicted family, so believe me, my mother, who also is telling me that I need to get something going here, is the first person to say, "Why are you putting in a dispensary?" The flip to that is also cannabis has been able to improve people's lives a lot. You know, I mean, be it terminal illness. However, there's so many ways to use this. I mean, to approach this. I mean, there is so much negative. There's so much positive. So I think, you know, but it all depends on how you want to it all depends on how you want, how it affects you. And again, I also, in terms of, I use cannabis recreationally to help me with issues that I have in terms of stress management and sleeping. I mean, if you want to go down that road, and I understand your concerns, but I also think that, for me, alcohol is the issue. I have just as much of a problem with there being a liquor store that kids can walk by on their way home from school. Parents ask, well, are my kids going to be walking in front of that dispensary? Well, I tell you, I have a camera in the back and I every day monitor the people that walk back there, and there's a few kids, but I can also tell you this. Kids can't walk right into a dispensary. Kids can't see right into the windows of a dispensary. You walk by that liquor store, you can walk right in there. You can see everything they're selling. And you know what? They're not going to kick you out. There's no way that literally, physically, it's going to have the type of impact. I mean, this is just my opinion. I'm not trying to argue you. I'm just trying to also shed another type of light on this. I mean, and again, I'm speaking emotionally because it does affect me. And I'm sympathetic with what you're saying. But I also appreciate the flip to that, and possibly the good that can come from it, or not possibly the good that would come from it. So I think, if this is treated with the delicacy that it deserves, and the delicacy that we are going to give it, and the attention, and in the appropriate manner in which it needs to be brought to this town. Again, I think I'm not going to say you're going to be okay with it, but you might not be so unhappy with how it's being run, and how it's, and the impact that, I mean, when I say low impact, I mean that in all respects. In terms of how it looks when you drive by, in terms of the people operating it, and maybe you'll be surprised that, at the people who might be, bringing business to it. I mean, I think this is the stigmas of this business aren't such that they're going to have kids standing outside there with spray paint cans hanging out. It's people from all walks of life these days. Honestly, it's mind blowing to me. And it's also people from all walks of life who use this in a way that improves their life. That's something you also have to be open minded about too. And I think it's also in this. And I'll leave it at that. But I want to mention.
I'd also like to offer up an invitation to whoever wants to come and sit in our store for an hour, and you can watch the people that come in.
You can see how it's absolutely encourage.
Come sit. I don't care. I've got chairs right there. You guys can sit down. You can have a good time and talk. You guys can watch the people that come in and out. You can watch how we run the place. Make sure we're what you guys want.
Do you have interactions with people where you're feeling you to intervene as somebody who is obviously coming in?
Yes, intoxicated. No, not on wood.
No, it's not like alcohol or angry, you know what I mean?
Not only that, I mean, when I think about sort of,
we also have a scanner too that we've got fake IDs left and right. It's probably about 5 or 6 a week we catch, but that scanner saves us every time. We don't let in anybody anymore, not one person. And if you don't have an ID, you don't get it. You don't have an ID, you don't get it.
I don't want to hit this home, but I will. I mean, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I have a bigger problem with people sitting. And again, I'm not here to deprecate other people's business, but if we're going to speak in the interest of things that we're passionate about, or things that we have feelings about, I have a problem with kids walking home from school and seeing people sitting outside the beer garden, just drinking, just getting hammered. So I think there's a lot of considerations that need to be made in terms of the view of this business, the view of things that are going on in this town, determine the way that this town might evolve and get some energy, some vibrancy, some excitement, some commerce, some business. I mean, we need something here.
Can I interject and ask a question? Given our role and what we're doing here, and certainly not diminishing either point, it seems that within the state in New York, those discussions have already been had.
Yes, correct.
And so is it our purview as a board to go against what has already been established at the state level with the legalization of the use of marijuana and products related thereto versus what we're trying to do here? I'm thinking that, not discounting either either side. I'm just saying that discussion's already been had. Our role here is to say, here's your drawing, you need to fix this, you need to fix that, you need to do that. And
But if,
Right up until they ask for a waiver.
right,
Now read this statute right here. This is the statute. This is the standard that we're gonna be applying in order to give that waiver. Shall have the requisite power to vary these distance requirements in this site plan. And special use permit process, provided such variation from distance requirements does not adversely impact the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the town of Pine Plains. So
That's for what I was asking before.
So really,
so that's our standard we have to answer for ourselves.
the question is the fact that this is less than 300 feet from the fire station something that we think this is an appropriate application of that statute? Or is it, or do we deem it sort of irrelevant in this?
Not irrelevant. Do we feel that the 215 feet, reducing the standard by 85 feet is, or is it gonna create impacts that will adversely affect what it says there, the health and safety, whatever, of the citizens? And we have to decide if that's okay to give that, and also for the whatever it is, 250, whatever that distance is, 200 plus feet from the post office. I can tell you now, I spoke to the postmaster just to even find out where we were supposed to send a letter asking these things. They said to him, and that he's likely not gonna have any problem with as long as they don't mail anything. I said, well,
What about the fire?
the fire department, we received a letter today, they are opposing the application.
Why is that?
I don't know why, but that's, they sent the letter today. It's this letter. Now, it's gonna be entered into the record, and it's based, did they give any reason? Just saying that they have meetings
Yeah.
and children
it's in the part about-
events and meetings, at the,
What is the actual definition? Is 10 cases. Actual definition of essential public service, because I couldn't find that online.
That's,
It's a, okay, right? So the firehouse is a private. And
so we determined, well, no, it's actually both, because you have the fire commission and you have the fire company, two different things. Fire commission is a government thing. Right, Warren?
Yeah.
All right. And,
the same entrance.
yeah,
Firehouse,
it's just
same
one building. So. So it was up to us, and we made our determination, I believe, in one of the first meetings on this, that those were both essential public functions, and we were gonna reach out to find out what they thought about the issue, and we would have to issue waivers or not, based upon our judgment. We made that determination, I would say, right, in the first meeting. We're gonna have to take into what the fire department says, we're gonna have to take into what you guys say, we're gonna have a public hearing and hear from the public and the fire department, and the post office will probably do just a letter, and probably won't see them here. And
Town board write any recommendations?
no, the town board would not write any recommendation. Now, the town board did pass this law, we were showing you what Scott was talking about, again, beyond even the state, town board opted out of the laws for the state, and then opted in to cannabis retail dispensaries. And wrote this
Based on
law.
that. Okay,
Opted out of on-site consumption.
They opted out of both, and then they opted in to cannabis retail dispensaries. That's how the process works. You had to opt out, or else you had to just accept what the state said. So on a community level, that calculus has been taken and, has occurred. Where, if I remember the public hearing correctly, maybe 2 people spoke, maybe, it was either 1 or 2. There was, way more input into, of course, no one was there, the same thing that.
It's the exactly thing.
Once it actually starts happening, that's when everyone shows.
Well, who's the chief of the fire department? We'll go and introduce ourselves.
Town supervisor.
Wait. The town supervisor is the chief of the fire department. He wrote the laws
No.
He didn't. It wasn't,
Also, my
he
son's
just said the
baseball
town board broke the laws.
The town board wrote the board. He voted on it.
Voted on it.
I don't know which way he voted.
He wants.
Okay.
No, absolutely he was. He absolutely was.
Watch the basketball.
Yeah.
No, that's a little. Yeah.
It's not a
How's that?
it's not a conflict of interest.
The town supervisor put up something.
In the interest of two separate entities, it certainly seems like that would be.
First of all, this is beyond our scope. Okay, we're gonna stop.
I was gonna say, it's getting
Trust me,
going sideways.
the legal determinations were that he could remain as fire chief as well as part of the town board. So that's why he's there, else he wouldn't be there. Second of all, it is also the fire commission that sent us the letter, so I'm not even sure what their structure is.
outvoted, right?
Yeah, is he part of the commission? I have no.
Chief's not like.
No, I don't think so, right?
He's the chief of the fire.
Right, so, it came from the commissioners. And again, it's, we're gonna have to take that into account, like, this is. So, and I would assume they're gonna show up at the public hearing when we have the public. But we're not there yet, because again, you have to perfect this thing, so that we can. All the stuff has to be on the, like what we talked about on the site plan, et cetera. And you need to reach out to DOT and get that process started and make whatever decision you make for that. This is how the process is. It's not cheap and it's not quick. But that's what the laws of the state dictate, and then in our town code. Interfacing with that. So, anyone else on the board have any other comments or questions?
So we have till the 27th to get everything for the next meeting then, since this was a later meeting.
Oh, no, once you're on the
Okay,
agenda, you send stuff, now, obviously you wanna get it in early so we can
Right.
review it, but there's no deadline
No,
for.
a week before.
Once you're already in the process, that's for your initial application. Obviously,
That's fine.
yeah, obviously, if you show up the night of you send something they had planned, we would not be able to. Yeah, so we might.
Earlier. It's fine. It's cool.
Just confirm with me exactly what the laws are in terms of display. You said you had to be of a certain age to get into the store, and you can't do any display, so you're not gonna have a neon sign with that.
No, I know these are gonna be like shades, so you can't see in the wind.
We smoked out our windows, so we like.
Fogged up.
Bad word, but.
State requirement, they don't want like anybody peeking in your window.
That's good to know, because I confess, I was at Red Hook looking for you guys, and I drove past it twice. And I just didn't, I was looking for something visual.
Next time,
Very
stop.
far from the court.
Yeah, so we talked about doing a site visit in Red Hook. Do we wanna just make it an informal where everyone just kinda goes? Sit out on your
You
own?
guys can look up our hours online. Come whenever you want.
Always there.
We won't try and sell you on it.
So that's what we'll do instead of having a formal statement. Sound good?
I like that idea, flexibility.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Also, the sign didn't give me a clue. It was a very
Well, the
nondescript sign.
sign is permitted by the state.
Yeah,
We can't do any. But we
Yeah.
get that all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we have the flag. It's out there. It's a bit of a help, but still people pass it all the time on us.
People live in the town still though. They come in daily. You've been here for 6 months. I drive by every day. So it's not as, people think
This way station is still gonna look like a way station.
I've seen some people in this room there, so those people know it's not what you think it is. Not everybody think who that was there.
I just want to say thanks for your time again. It's nice to see everybody. and Thank you Taylor, very much for your help.
Thank you. Sure. All right, awesome. What? I don't know what happened.
She's gonna store.
Just us.
Yeah.
We never gained, right?
See you guys next week.
Good night.
Tonight.
We were supposed to have the Caputos here. To talk about what's going on with their application, with their construction. That's the house. Where they tore down the house in the front, they're building the dwelling and are eventually are supposedly gonna. Replace the house in the front, the pulver.
Patchen.
Patchens. And it was a P. Across from the brown bag, but. I don't know, can you talk to them?
I
Or
spoke to the builder, not to them.
not to the building?
He said he was supposed to have plans for the front house.
You're getting plans for the
That's
front.
what I said, but
Alright, so we'll look, we'll tell them, to come next month, I guess, the town is obviously getting upset, there's still a hole in the ground, they put up that screening, but it's not. Had you talked to them about the hole and stuff, and
I missed it.
is it safe in your opinion, like? Do you think something more? Is it a better fence should be put up?
Better fence.
They're gonna build a garage. Which I don't think was on the original plan,
What do you mean they're gonna build the
a
garage?
2-car garage.
In that whole space,
I'll give them
or a house and a, instead of a
Between the
house?
Between the houses to come and the house they built now.
That wasn't on.
Well, they'd have to come to Ed for that,
Yeah, he showed me, the builder showed me a community today.
for a garage,
No, house and
house in the garage.
yeah.
No.
And the garage is coming first.
Well, if they can't build it, so they get approved from.
That's good. Just-
All right, okay.
Did you hear anything else about the tree cutting? Or the solar?
The solar is, oh, yes, I did. They found somebody to take the wood.
They did,
Yes, they found someone.
because everybody I spoke to said there's no way that they would not just chip it there, or, like move it and then chip it somewhere else.
Well, we had told them, I talked to George and I talked to them about, if they're gonna do anything to pile the logs would be better than chipping them. If they can't find any of the logs that they can just make piles. And then they'll slowly decay and provide a place for habitat and level. But now they say they found someone that is going to, I think the original contractor that, whatever that meant, to I guess the cut, the guy that, did the cutting, that they're going to take most of the wood stuff. But I haven't, anything going on up there beyond that?
The
No.
truck here the other day.
No, just,
Pickup truck.
yeah. So nothing more.
Yeah.
Happening yet, but. All right, okay, so that's it as far as the consultants.
Cool.
Thank you, George. No, thank you very well.
Sure. Very good.
For me, it was minutes from a while ago, right? Did everyone get a chance to read the minutes?
I was a while. It was. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I read them. And
if you didn't respond, that they're definitely clean.
it's comfortable approving.
Yes.
I do.
Move to approve the notice. Second.
All right, supposed to be writing this guys. Wow. Second. Minutes, for, what minute says April minutes?
April, in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, it's passed. Anything else? Yeah, each other things. Talk to Ed about that. Anyone have anything else? No? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move.
I'll make-
Second. Move to adjourn.
Okay, all right. Scott? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that what you have to bring your kids and get out early?